Is the Real Estate Investing Mastery Podcast coming at you live right now as I'm recording this across Periscope, YouTube, and Facebook. Glad to be here. I got a really, really cool interview today that I'm excited about bringing this guy on. He's doing a lot of creative financing deals, doing a lot of lease options, and we're going to be talking about how he's finding his deals, how he's negotiating them with sellers, what's working today in this market, what's not working today in this market, how he is able to do so many deals. His nickname is Mr. Transaction Engineer. So we're going to be bringing him on. I'm excited about talking to Eddie. So first of guys, I want to let you know a couple of housekeeping things real quick. If you like this podcast, leave a review in iTunes. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook right now, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share this video. I really, really appreciate you guys, and I want this podcast to grow. I was just interviewing a guy earlier today. He was telling me, Joe, I was listening to your podcast about 4 years ago, and you said something on there that if you understand marketing and if you know how to get leads, you will never have to worry about money again. And he's absolutely right. And what I said in that podcast, and it was actually an interview, somebody was interviewing me, was groundbreaking, life-changing for him. And the more reviews that we get in iTunes, the more we can share the love and give me the video likes. I really, really appreciate it. And leave a review in iTunes as well. If you're listening to this podcast on audio, leave a review in iTunes and subscribe there. YouTube, give me a thumbs up and like this as well. So I've been doing this new format. I actually really like it, where I am publishing this podcast live. We're recording it live and we're pushing it out to YouTube and Facebook. And some of you that are watching this right now, give us a hello. Say hello. Tell us where you're from, because you're going to probably have some questions, or you want to say hello to our guest, or you want to talk about the Atlanta Braves or the Atlanta Falcons, or you want to talk about the St. Louis Cardinals, because we're going to probably talk about baseball. Atlanta, what's the baseball? The baseball team down there. Eddie will tell me in a minute. I just forgot. Braves, thank you. The Atlanta Braves. They're a hot team right now, right? And it's good to see them maybe coming back into the playoffs here. But I love sports, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit. So, but if you're watching this right now, say hello. Tell us where you're from. Say hi where you're from. And if you've got any questions, because you probably will, please type them in the comments right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope, and we will show them, and we'll give you a shout out. We'll say hello, and we'll ask our special guest. One more thing. This podcast is brought to you by my book, Wholesaling Lease Options. Go get it. It's free. You just pay a little bit of shipping and handling. I'll send it out to you. It's all content, all killer, no filler. And it's got some really good stuff in here. I talk about how I flipped lease options and quit my job back in 2009. If you want the book, go right now to WLObook.com, WLObook.com. And I'm coming out with a new book in about a week. It's called REI Secrets. And this book is about 95 pages long, but it's like really condensed. This next book is like 300 and something pages long. And I'm freaking out a little bit because it costs almost twice as much to print and mail this book. But it's really good. It's taken, I've been doing a lot of emails, and I've been teaching a lot of cool stuff on these emails, and I'm combining them all into a book. And each chapter is only about 1 or 2 pages long. You can read it kind of like a daily devotional, but that's not devotional. It sounds weird. But you can read it as like a daily dose of wisdom and guidance for your real estate business. So that's coming out real soon, and you can check it out. It will be at reisecrets.com. So that's coming. Stay tuned. All right. So enough of that, right? Let's get our friendly, awesome guest on the show. His name is, let me hide my thing here. His name is Eddie Raymond, and he he's Mr. Transaction Engineer, and you're going to find out why, because he's doing a lot of really good creative deals. Mr. Eddie, Mr. Transaction Engineer, how are you?
I'm doing great, Joe. It's a pleasure to be on your podcast today.
Thank you, man. Are you an Atlanta sports fan?
Yeah, my heart still has been broken since the Falcons lost to the Patriots, man. I haven't recovered yet. Man.
Well, we can kind of relate here in St. Louis when the Patriots killed us in that Super Bowl. That was about 10, 15 years ago. But I've heard, I was in Atlanta a few months ago, and it's a great sports town. And I've heard like your soccer team is one of like the best attended, craziest fans in the entire United States. what you got going on there in Atlanta. What's that soccer team called?
What's the name? I don't really follow soccer as much, but I know they just won, last year.
Yeah, they
So
won the MLS championship. I don't even know what they call it.
Yeah,
but Gavin, who works with me, was recently in Atlanta, and they scheduled some kind of meeting right where near the football stadium. And the Atlanta Braves right now are in first place in the National League East Division.
Yeah,
which is good. They're already clinched a playoff spot, which is amazing. Okay, so anyway, enough about that. Enough about sports. Sorry. At least I was going to say another Chicago Cubs joke, but I'm not going to say anything about the Cubs. So we got a lot of people. Huh?
Who's your team?
Oh, I'm Cardinals fan, St. Louis Cardinals fan, baseball.
Oh, yeah.
And for football, you got to love the Chiefs, man. How can you not love Mahomes? He's phenomenal. He's fantastic. He was on my fantasy football team last year. I couldn't get him this year. I was really bummed, but I love Mahomes. And but we got some people here that are saying hello. Lighton from Birmingham is saying hello.
Hey,
Graylin is a good man. He's telling me to come to Detroit, or he's coming from Detroit. Good. Oh, come on, Ralph. You're serious?
Oh, go Saints. That's our rivalry team.
Come on now. Leroy from Clarksville, Tennessee. What's up, man? And Kevin from South Florida. Glad you guys are here. You know what's funny? It's about Florida. When I was first getting started, Eddie, doing deals, I was talking to a guy from Florida who was doing deals in Atlanta, and he was doing a lot of lease options. I remember talking to him, and I could hear the seagulls in the ocean in the background. And he was telling me about how he's flipping these deals in Atlanta. I was like, where are you right now? I didn't think there's beaches in Atlanta, Georgia, unless I don't know my map very well. No, man, I'm in Florida and I'm doing deals in Atlanta. So cool. Thanks guys for saying hello. If you're watching this still, come on, tell us where you're from. And if you got any questions, bring it on. So Eddie, you're in Atlanta. Thanks for being here. Tell us a little bit about you. How did you get started in real estate and when?
Well, I got started, Joe, back in 2005.
Cool.
So I learned under Ron LeGrand. I like to call him my pa. My pa, I learned from him back in 2005, and hey, I've been rolling ever since. So I was actually driving forklifts, Joe.
Were you?
And I had to make a decision because the seminar at the time was called Millionaire Maker Boot Camps. Ron had the seminar for 5 days. So I had to take off Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off of my job, and I didn't have any more days left. So they was like, well, if you take off, you're going to get fired.
Really?
So I had to make a tough decision, Joe. Either, drive forklifts for the rest of my life for $12 an hour, or roll the dice and see what's going on with the real estate. But I was already studying real estate because my mom, she actually paid for the course. I think I was like 25 or something at the time, 26. So she paid for the boot camp, and we had all the materials sent to us. So I was already studying the material. So I felt confident. I was like, well, I just got to quit my job. And it was actually the best thing that I did, Joe. I thank God that I took a leap of faith and did that. I say,
wow.
We got to the boot camp. They called deals live on the stage. So they called one of my deals. It was a subject to deal. I went back to the hotel, faxed in the contract. I had a signed contract before I left the seminar. So I really knew it worked. Then I would say about 30 days after that, I did a wholesale deal for $15,000. And man, I haven't looked back since. Thank God.
That was in Atlanta.
Yes.
Good for you, man. I was in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina a few months ago. And similar story, a guy, I was teaching about marketing, right? And he actually got his phone out while I was talking. And I was talking for like an hour and a half or something. And he got on the phone and started texting sellers right then and there, started texting sellers, and got 2 appointments while I was speaking. He got 2 appointments with sellers. Wow. I just love guys like that who take massive action. I like to call it massive imperfect action. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing, but screw it. I got no choice. My back's against the wall, right?
Right. And I mean, people look at mistakes as mistakes, but really they're lessons. You just learn what doesn't work, fix it, and go back at it again.
That's a good way to put it. So, you've been investing a long time and you got started right before the market crashed. So I can
Oh,
imagine you've got quite the story to tell as well with when that happened, right?
yeah. They caught me with my pants down, Joe. I only had about 3 subject twos because, I was so fascinated by wholesaling. I only invest $300 and made 15 grand. So I'm like, oh my God. And nobody, I'm new to the real estate business. So nobody's saying, hey, the market's going to crash. Get more rental properties. So, I was just flipping and wholesaling. When the market crashed, Joe, I only had 3 properties and that couldn't cover the bills.
Yeah, well, I was caught with my pants down as well. It was bad. And I wasn't doing wholesaling, which I wish I would have been, because I was trying to buy a lot of properties subject to. I was buying a lot of properties to fix and flip, and I was not prepared for it. Was a cash flow. I think we both had a similar story. Like, we had no cash flow coming in.
Oh,
And so how did that affect the market crash? How did that affect, you coming out of the recession? What did you do to pick yourself back up?
well, what I did, Joe, I don't know how I came up with the idea, but what I transitioned over to, the news media is scaring everybody off. Foreclosures, don't buy when it's absolutely the best time to buy because everything is on sale.
Yeah, you got
So,
that right.
guys, when it crashes again, make sure you have your bank account ready because it's the best time to buy.
That's
But what
good.
I did, Joe, I transitioned over to finding tenants for homeowners. So I put out signs, landlord, you need a tenant, give me a call. And I put my number, and we started doing at least between, I'll say, 6 to 10 of those a month. So
So you were finding tenants for landlords.
yes.
Wow.
And then we started doing a little property management. That's when I learned I don't want to be a property manager. So we got out of that part, but we continue to just find a homeowner. So we'll keep the security deposit. They will get the first month, and we go to the next one. And then
Okay.
we transition over to short sales in I think '08.
Yeah.
In about '08, I would say. In '08, we
Okay.
transitioned over to short sales and we was rolling.
Nice. And how long did you do short sales?
We did short sales from '08 to, I will say, 2011. We're still doing a little bit of them, but the only problem, Joe, they put that stipulation in there where we couldn't resell the property for 30 days, or we could only resell it for a certain percentage. So it took all the fun out of short sales.
Okay. Yeah.
Because we used to short sell them and turn around and immediately wholesale them. So
Okay.
we short sell and immediately wholesale, and the bank, I guess everybody, all the investors, got wind of that strategy. So a lot of people was doing it. So the banks came back and said, hey, you got to hold that property 30 days now.
Okay.
Or you got to hold it for 15. You can't resell it for 15% of the value.
Yeah.
Some crazy mess. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. So then what'd you do after that?
Shoot, learned about wholesale lease options.
Oh, I love that.
And man, that brought me back.
So what did you like about wholesaling lease options?
Because they remind me of wholesaling, except you're dealing with pretty houses, nice houses. And to me, like people, like some of my students are, do people really have this amount of money? I'm like, yes, we're dealing with the 75, 80% of the people that can't really buy, they can't get a traditional loan. So we got a bigger pool of buyers.
Oh, yeah.
Bigger
I would
pool.
argue we have a bigger pool of sellers as well.
Yeah.
Right. When you compare to like wholesalers that are trying to get properties with sellers that have a lot of equity and a lot of motivation, there's not too many of them. But when you're looking for sellers that have a little bit of equity and a lot of motivation, there's a lot more of those, and a lot fewer investors going after them as well. Is that what you found?
Right. I don't understand that, Joe. But I'm loving it, but it's no competition really.
Yeah, isn't that something? Okay, so why don't some people are watching this, maybe don't know what a wholesaling lease option deal is. Will you, Eddie, please explain what that is for you?
Well, a wholesale lease option deal is like wholesaling, but you're wholesaling a pretty house. And so we typically give the homeowner security deposit and first month. That's it.
Okay.
And so we keep, we tell them we charge our end buyer a fee. And so we get the difference between, what we give the homeowner. Just say, for example, we have to give them $3,000. we have somebody that come with $15,000 down payment, well, we would go to closing. The homeowner would get the $3,000, and we would get the difference, which would be $12,000. And it goes down so easy, man.
Some people are wondering, like, 15 grand? Can you really get 15 grand down from a tenant buyer on a deal?
Oh yeah, we just got 20 last week, Joe, and I wanted more than that, honestly, because the house was worth about $350. So the guy came with 20 down. We wanted really 40. So the payments, our monthly payments on it is $1,400. So he came in paying $2,000, but since he didn't have the remaining down payment, we just upped his monthly payment to $2,500. So now we're cash flowing $1,100 off that one.
Man, I hope you guys are listening to this. I hope you guys are listening. By the way, Michael Ray says, "Hey, Mr. Transaction Engineer, do you know Michael?"
Hey, Michael. Yeah, I do a live show every week, so I know a couple of these guys on here.
Sweet. All right. And then Arthur says, "Yo, Joe, St. Louis, Missouri. Thanks. I'm glad you're here. Got some good St. Louis Cardinal pride."
My wife's from there, Joe.
Oh, is she really? What part?
Yeah. St. Louis.
Okay. All right. Nice.
Yeah, right from St. Louis. I don't really know all the streets and all that stuff, but she probably said, "Oh my God, you don't know?"
I hope. Okay, so here's the cool thing, guys. I hope you're paying attention, because so many people out there, Eddie, think, well, lease options, like the most I can get is like $3 or $5 grand down. And that's not like why. I don't know why people think that either. But talk a little bit about, and I'll share with you some things that we're doing too that are pretty cool. But talk about, like, how are you getting 15 grand down on a house like that?
Well, it's all about the marketing. So, we advertise no bank needed, easy qualifications, all the good stuff to attract the people, with the money. Because people, it's mind-boggling, man. People have money, guys. I promise you.
Yeah,
they have money. We got a buyers list now, man, with a couple of $100 grand worth of buyers. And we always advertise online, Joe, but we like to also put signs out, because some reasons signs just drive a lot of calls and a lot of buyers.
What do some of your signs say?
No bank needed, rent to own. It depends on the area. If it's an upscale area, we will put lease purchase or lease option. It's a middle class area, we will put rent to own.
Okay, interesting.
Easy qualifications, the number of bedrooms and baths, and then we have them call in the call fire. And call fire, pre-screen them, and you call back the people with the money.
Let me give you a little tip. You might want to try this on one of your signs, because this worked well for us. Rent to own or lease purchase, right? And then right below that, 5% moves you in.
Wow. How you like that, Joe?
It works really well, because when people are calling, they know they're expecting 5%, which also means, like, that's all I need. That's all. Yeah, that's all you need, right? It's 5%, and on a $200,000 house, that's 10 grand, right?
Right.
One of the other things that I've never done this, but I was just interviewing a guy named Ryan the other day, and he's in Louisiana, north of New Orleans, I think. And one of the things that he's doing that I love this idea was he would advertise different rents, okay, and larger down payments for the lower rents. So let's say a house you're trying to rent it for $1,500. He would say, all right, you can get this house for $1,400 with $15,000 down. You can get it for $1,500 for, I'm getting my numbers mixed up, but you know what I'm saying? Like, he'll have $100 swing either direction for the rent, and the lower the rent, the higher down payment he asks for. And it's amazing how many people actually get that. And so something to think about. And I don't know why I've never thought of that, but he's getting, like you are, he's getting down payments of $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on these deals, because there's not enough inventory out there. There's a huge demand from these buyers who have challenged credit, who are looking for a house to buy, but can't right now, just need a little bit of time. And the part of the problem of the people that are doing a lot of lease options is they're not asking for enough down payment. They're not expecting it, right?
Now, Joe, on your lease options, do you tell them like a certain amount down that you're looking for?
Not in my ads. No, I usually don't. But I just, I say down payment required or option deposit required, call for details.
Right.
And so then when I'm on the phone, that's it's a negotiating thing. They say, well, how much do you have to put down on the house? Well, they'll say, I don't know. How much do I need? And I say, well, I don't know. How much do you have? Well, how much do you need? So it's a little game going back and forth. It's like, it depends on how quickly you can buy the house. And I say things like, we're just looking for somebody that really wants to rent this house and then buy it. And so how bad do you want it? I try to ask them the situation. And then I'll say, typically we get like 3 to 5% down is how I've typically said it over the phone. But I've never done this before. And I love this idea of advertising different option deposits based on the rents. And people are just looking for that monthly amount, man. That's all they care about, right?
Right. And I've never had anybody even argue about the purchase price, Joe. Do you guys get any problems about that?
And unless the only time I have is when if the house is worth 200 today and I'm trying to advertise it for 250, and I've never even done that. But like once you start pushing that upper limit a little bit, when I have done that, when I've pushed the upper limit a little bit, I have to explain to them, listen, this isn't your typical 2-year lease option. This is a 5-year lease option or something like that. And, but yeah, people just care about the monthly amount, really. And if it's a nice house, you're going to get your doors knocked down, people begging you for these homes.
Oh my God.
There's just a ton of demand, isn't there?
Yeah, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Hey, look at this. Eddie, we're getting Periscope comments. Black Sin, salute to Eddie and Chris Haskins. I don't know if you know who that is. Yeah,
that's a guy, my buddy Chris. We do a show every Wednesday.
Nice. What's the name of your show? How can people find it?
Well, it's on. Well, they go to my YouTube channel, Mr. Transaction Engineer. That's across the board for Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And I go live with Chris Haskins. I think his is, what is that? Roundup Family. So we do that every Wednesday around 2:00.
Nice. We'll check that out. And R-Dub got Mr. T on. All right. Cool. So you're getting average deposits. Like what's a typical house or lease option that you do, Eddie?
I would say the typical down payment is between about 10 to 15. We like to stay in between, I would say 200, I'd say about 180 and about 400. That's kind of like the sweet spot. The higher you get, the less buyers you have.
Yeah. Okay, good. Talk a little bit about how you're finding these deals, Eddie. What are you doing to get sellers to call you and say, yeah, I want to sell my house or I want to do a lease option?
Well, Joe, we're actually hitting expired listings on for sale by owners that's, about 30 to 45 days out, and for rents.
Beautiful.
Because, for rents, man, who really wants to rent a property, Joe? And deal with that crap? But I had my share.
Especially in that range you're talking about, right? Like if you're targeting all the homes under $100,000, and there's some even in Atlanta, those are homes you don't want to do lease options on. That's my advice, right? But when you're talking about the median priced homes, maybe between 150, 300,000, that price range, you're going to get a lot more landlords there that they don't want to rent their house. You're absolutely right. They just want to, sell it. And now you can, but they can't for whatever reason. And you're offering them a solution that they didn't even know about before.
Right. And most of the homeowners are so glad that we've called them because they really don't want to rent a property, man. Who really wants to deal with a tenant calling you in the middle of the night every week or every month? I love the lease options. You put them in there. Now we give them 7 days. We give them 7 days to check out the property. After that, you're responsible. So after that 7 days, hey, we on easy street.
Okay. So like you give them 7 days, the tenant buyer gets 7 days in the house.
Yes.
Before, where up to that point though, who's responsible for the maintenance and repairs? Are you saying the homeowner is?
Well, the homeowner stay in the deal. If we do a wholesale lease option when we're in and out the deal, then we put in the contract for the homeowner. The tenant is responsible for anything over $500.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I do too.
Now we stand on a sandwich lease. You're responsible for everything after 7 days.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that because those are really, really good deals. So you're finding these deals by expireds. You mentioned. Are you sending letters? Are you calling, or what are you doing with expireds?
We send text messages and voice blasts. Ringless.
Oh, so You're skip tracing the expireds.
Right.
That was my mind blowing. I that's awesome. And who's doing that? Nobody. Maybe some realtors are, but okay, cool. Then you're going after FSBOs and rentals.
Yes, FSBOs, that's about 30 days out or more.
Good.
And rentals.
All
For
right.
sale by owners, for rent by owners.
You got a lot of fans here, Eddie. They keep on shooting comments. Look at this. Michael Ray. Oh, I already did that one? Or is that?
No, that's a new.
That's a new
Hey,
one.
Mike.
Kevin here. What part of Atlanta are you doing this in, and what price range are you in? You mind answering that real quick?
Yeah, we're doing it really all over the metro area. We're hitting about 4 or 5 counties. Beautiful. And between about I would say 180 to about 400.
Hip Pocket National Bank. Come on. I love that. That's my favorite bank.
Mine too, Joe.
Good. We got some more questions here. Keep them coming. I'll make sure to get them to Eddie. Now, how do you go negotiate these deals over the phone, Eddie? Do you go to their house and talk to them in person? What do you do?
Well, we negotiate everything over the phone, Joe. We don't want to go out there unless we know it's a deal.
Good.
So I don't like going out there wasting time. Everybody swear their house is the best. You know, my house, I got granite flew in from Spain. Man, after a while, they all look the same.
Yeah. Hey, our kids keep on walking behind us. If that's your kid. That's pretty cool. All right. So sandwich lease options. What is a sandwich lease option to you?
Sandwich lease option to me is when you stay in the middle, guys. My favorite deal. Now, we like to stay in. It has to be at least $200 or better for us to stay. A month. Yeah, a month. So, you know, because you really don't have to do anything. Once you locate the buyer, you're on easy street. You just collect the money. What
criteria do you have then on the buy price that you stay in the deal? Like, do you have a minimum equity criteria or something like that?
Yeah, we got to have at least about 10 to 15 grand.
Okay, cool. So you got to have 10 to 15 grand up front, like on the A to B side.
Right.
And you got to have a couple $100 in cash flow. Right. And then when you sell it, you know, if it's worth 200 today and you're buying it for 185, you know, from the seller, what are you selling it to the tenant buyer for?
Well, we always mark it up, Joe. I would say about 5 to 10% once we advertise it.
Good. And so there's 3 profit centers with the sandwich lease option deal, right? You get cash now up front, 10 grand. You're getting a couple $100 spread every month. And by the way, during that time, the tenant buyer is responsible for all maintenance and repairs, right? Under 500.
Right.
Above 500, are you passing that responsibility on to the seller then?
As far as the maintenance?
Yeah. If it's above, like if the heating and air conditioning blows out or something.
Definitely.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. They're responsible.
And then you're selling it to the tenant buyer in a couple of years for, you know, you're going to be, if it's worth 200 today, you're buying it for 185 and you're selling it for maybe 215, 210.
Right.
Which is a good $30,000 spread.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So you're making money now, cash flow and cash later. I love that. How many deals like that can you do in a month? I mean, are you limited to, do you have to use any of your own? These are redundant questions, I know. Are you using any of your own money to buy these deals or get financing or private money for these things?
No, the good thing about, you know, lease purchase and sandwich lease option, you really don't even need any money, guys. You just put it on the contract and put it for sale. I love it. You don't even need earners money.
Beautiful. You don't, have you ever had a deal, Eddie, where the sellers pulled your credit, did a background check on you, and you know, and then interviewed previous clients that you've done deals with or anything like that?
Well, I have had a client, you know, interview a couple of people, but nothing about any background check or none of that stuff. Plus, we're members of the Better Business Bureau, so once they see that, we got an A+ rating. So once they see that, it's pretty much a slam dunk.
That I love the BBB. It's a racket, you know, because you have to pay to play, pretty much to get the A+ rating, but it works. Yeah. It's a great. So anybody listening to this, you need to become a member of the BBB, and I'd recommend also become a member of the Chamber of Commerce. Just
Right.
it doesn't there's no even really criteria. I think you just have to have an LLC or a business. But when you can put that kind of stuff on your proposals or your offers, it really helps build a lot of credibility, doesn't it?
Slam dunk, Joe. Yesterday it was a seller, right? We've been trying to contact her for a while because she had our property up for short sale, but she ended up getting it. She ended up turning into they ended up modifying the loan. So we was trying to contact her for about 6 months. So something told me just send the Better Business Bureau the little link.
Yeah.
So I sent her the link. Next thing I know, she called me 10 minutes like, hey, can we meet tomorrow? I was like, no, we can't meet that soon, but I can meet with you Friday. So that's a deal. That's a slam dunk.
That's beautiful. Lots of respect to you, man. That's awesome. Okay, I wanted to ask you about, are you working with like a mortgage broker? Who is pre-screening your tenants and doing the background check and all of that stuff?
Well, we use, I think it's called Tenant Background Check. We use that app. They run everything, Joe. The credit, the background.
The same company I use. Yeah.
Oh, you use them? Okay.
Yeah, there's a website that we use called prequalteam.com, I believe. They have 2 different websites.
Okay.
Cool.
So we use that site. That's pretty good.
Do you have anybody that you recommend to your tenant buyers for credit repair or getting a mortgage, things like that?
Yes, we do.
Good.
Now, Joe, these are grown people, so everybody don't do what they're supposed to do. But we got a couple of people that actually follow through with the credit repair and all that stuff. So we got a good setup if they want to buy the property. We have good credit repair team and loan officer. So once we run their stuff through the tenant background check and pull the credit report, we'll send it over to our loan officer. And that way we try to give the homeowner, a time frame, how long it may take them to get qualified.
Nice. Good. We're getting some good questions here. Do you mind if I show you some here?
Yes, we can go.
This is from Joe Conti. What do you do when the market turns and it becomes a seller's market? Well, actually, when the market turns, I think they mean a buyer's market.
Buyer's market.
Yeah, it's going down. I think that's the best time to do lease options. But Joe, what do you think? I'm sorry.
Man, that's the absolute best time. Now you have a lot of motivated sellers.
Yeah,
a lot of motivated sellers.
Yeah, it's very good. So, and lease options, in my opinion, they work in any market. And that's not my opinion; it's the fact. They work in any market. But as we're starting to see the market slow down, and are you seeing that right now, Eddie, in Atlanta?
Yes, I'm actually happy because the market is now really leveling out pretty much. And now the homeowners are back, to their senses. At first, everybody, they want 20, 30, 40,000 over. Now they're, to their senses. The houses are sitting a little longer. So it's actually better for us right now.
Yeah, it is. I'm starting to see this in California. I'm starting to see it in New York, the Midwest. Days on market are getting bigger. Days on the inventory is going up. Prices are going down. So, a seller, there's a lot of motivated sellers out there that are they thought they could sell their house. They've already bought another house and they haven't been able to sell it yet. And it's a good time to be. And would you agree to this, Eddie? Like the time of being a one-trick pony is over. I love your title, transaction engineer. Don't you think it's important to talk about this, like to have multiple tools in your tool belt?
Yeah, if you're going to be in this business, guys, please don't get caught up in one method of real estate, just wholesale. There's so many different avenues and strategies and income streams. I mean, that's like going to a mechanic shop and he can only change oil, but you need your tires rotated. You need your starter put on, but he can only change oil. So you're going to go somewhere else, just like a seller would. So when they come to us, it's so many different ways that we can buy the property. We like to send over 3 or 4 offers to them and let them make a decision. Everybody love offers.
Nice. Can you talk about that? What kind of offers are you sending them?
Well, we send a cash offer. We send a lease purchase offer and an owner financing offer.
Love it, man. No wonder I like you so much, Eddie, because you're like, you get it. You get it. You're giving the sellers options, right? And it doesn't matter to you which option they take, does it? You make money on any of them. Yeah, and the seller feels like they're in control, right? You're not trying to
Right.
take advantage of them. You're just like,
Right.
here are your options. Pick one. It doesn't matter to me. A lot of times I tell sellers, listen, here are the 3 options, but you should probably just list it with a realtor. I'll even be honest with that, because that kind of brutal honesty breaks down their defenses. They're like, man, I trust this guy, and it's true. If they want full price for their house, they should list it with a realtor.
Right.
But then it also forces them to answer the questions like, oh man, I don't want to list it. I can't afford the commissions. I don't want to go through and clean it all up and get it ready and show it and all of that hassle. Good. We got another question here from Kafori 321. How can you guarantee the tenant buyer will purchase at the end of the lease? Will you talk about that, Eddie?
Well, you can't really guarantee it, guys. I mean, everybody, you're dealing with grown people, so they have to make that choice to buy the property if they want to. However, we tell the seller, if they don't purchase, guess what? We'll get somebody right back in there really quick.
That's a good way to put it. I like, if a seller tells me that, I say, listen, call me. That's the answer. Like, call me back. We'll do it again.
Yeah.
And the cool thing, do you do, when you got a property, Eddie, that needs some work, do you go in there and fix it up yourself, or do you get the tenant buyer to fix it up?
Well, we try to sell them as is, Joe. I mean, we don't own the property, so we don't want to start investing money into properties we don't own. If it's something like a couple of $100, $200-300, change out a ceiling fan or some minor stuff. If the homeowner can't do it, then we will step in. But a lot of time, these people are so happy to get inside a house that they take on it. Like one of them we just got rid of, Joe. I'm glad we didn't paint the entire place. As soon as we put the guy in, we did touch up paint. Thank God the seller had some paint, so we did touch up paint. But if I would have spent $2 or $3 grand to paint the place, I would have lost money, because as soon as the people bought the house, Joe, a day or two later, they paint the whole place. So
yeah, I don't recommend doing any repairs on your houses, because you can get tenant buyers that will do it, and they want to, and I offer work for equity credits. I offer $5 grand or something, but they want to pick their own colors and pick their own flooring and their own bathroom fixtures and stuff like that. So let them do it. You just got to make sure, if a property needs paint and carpet and, 10 grand in work, well, you just negotiate that lower price from the seller and pass that savings on to the tenant buyer.
Yeah.
In the worst case, they don't buy the house, but you get a house back that's in better shape than it was before.
And most of the time it comes back in better shape, because it's a different mentality. They got a mindset of, I'm going to own this home one day, versus a person, I'm just going to rent it and the hell with it, Joe. Yeah. You know how some people treat a property if they're renting. It's a different mindset.
That's why I love lease options. You nailed it. Okay, from 661 Rick. Can you discuss briefly the initial down payment? Seller wants $3K and the investor wants $15K. Besides giving the seller $3K, is total $15 taken off the sale price in the end? And is the seller okay not getting that money? Do you understand that?
Seller wants $3K.
Well, you're offering the seller $3,000. You're getting $12,000. Yeah, basically, he's asking, is the seller okay with you making more money than they are?
Well, we tell them we charge them our buyer fee, so we don't have any problems. We haven't had any problems. Now, one of my students had one of the sellers came back. The guy was getting 30,000 down. The seller came and said, "Hey, I want 10 of those, 10 of that 30." So,
all right, well, you give them 10. But here's the thing too. I say to the sellers, listen, I get paid from the buyers, and I remind them. I say, listen, if you were to sell this with a realtor, how much would you pay them in commissions? A $300,000 house, that's 18 grand. They would be paying them in commissions, right? But yeah, I like what you do. You give them a security deposit and a first month's rent, depending on how you negotiate the deal. And but as a sandwich lease option, you're taking over that property. You're managing it. They don't have to worry about the vacancies and maintenance and repairs anymore.
Right.
All right. Another question from Michael Ray here. Eddie, what's the main difference between owner finance offer and lease option offers?
Well, owner financing offer, you're taking over control of the property. So you actually own you own the property basically. And the lease purchase offer, you're just leasing with the right to sublease. So you don't have you have a little control, but not main control, like subject to and owner finance. Those are the two most powerful control methods.
That's why I love Ron LeGrand. He's been teaching that and harping on that for years. And
my God, yeah. That joker's been around forever.
he's still ticking too.
Still ticking.
He's
Talking
grumpy.
junk.
Yeah, he's a grumpy old man, but he's a smart old man. I hope he's not listening to this because
Sorry, brother.
love Ron LeGrand. He's amazing. Okay. Joe, it says here, what do you do next after finding a seller and a tenant? Do you send them off to an attorney to handle the paperwork? How do you handle the paperwork?
Yes, we close everything with an attorney. Our attorneys down here only charge like $250, so it's no big deal. It probably take the guys 10 minutes to go through the little lease agreement and the option agreement.
Nice. So you have is Georgia, do you use title companies or attorneys to close your deals?
Attorneys.
Okay. Let me mention this too, guys. I live in a title company state, but I have an attorney who has told me before, and I've never done this. I probably should, but like, Joe, listen, let me do your closings for you. You don't have to use a title company. And sometimes an attorney gives you more credibility even than a title company would. If you can say, listen, my attorney will send you the paperwork. We can do the closings at his office. You get an attorney, an investor-friendly, creative attorney to help you with your deals. It may cost you a little bit more, but you're going to get more deals from it because of the credibility and the protection. That's really important.
You hit it on the head too, Joe. Investor-friendly attorney, because all attorneys are not the same, guys.
Oh yeah, even the ones that say they're experts in real estate. Got to be careful. One more question here. We got to hurry up and go because Eddie's time is valuable, and I promised him we'd be done by 4. So, question from Lighton: do you have to approve the color they paint the house in?
Well, I do. I don't. I tell them up front we don't want any really bold, bright colors. But if you just have to, you just got to make sure you paint it back. But it's only paint, guys, so it's really not a big deal.
It's not a big deal. Cool. And then we got Teddy here from Michigan. What's up, Teddy? How are you? All right, listen, Mr. Transaction Engineer Eddie, how can people get a hold of you? You've got, somebody who's probably in Atlanta listening to this right now has got a deal. It's a wholesaler that doesn't know how to do lease options. They got a motivated seller on the hook, and they're like, man, I want to do lease option. Can they bring you deals and partner with you on deals?
Yes, sir, Joe.
Nice.
You guys can email me at info@mrtransactionengineer.com. And it's Mr. Transaction on all the social media, which is YouTube, IG, and Facebook.
Nice.
And also, guys, if you want a free video, a subject to call, you can go to TE Offers. That's TEOFFERS.com. And I got a free video about subject to. I'm getting ready to come out with a subject to course, Joe.
Nice.
So I'll let you know about that once that's done. It should be done in about 2 or 3 weeks.
I just put it here on the banner. You see that, guys? TEOffers.com. And your email, Eddie, is info@mrtransactionengineer.com, right?
Yes, sir.
Nice. Eddie, please let us know when you get that subject to course. We'll definitely maybe get you back on the show and talk about it. I love interviewing guys that are actually in the field doing deals and mentoring people to do deals too, which is awesome. Get the double rewards. Yeah.
Thank you also, Joe, for that 1-page lease purchase agreement. We use that. We use that in our business every day almost.
Guys, if you want to know what he's talking about, you can get it for free. I'm going to give you guys a link right now. simpleleaseoptions.com/contract. If you go to this website right there, simpleleaseoptions.com/contract, I give it away for free. And you put your name and email there. The next page will take you to a video that teaches you actually how to use it. And so go check it out, simpleleaseoptions.com/contract. Hey, Eddie, thank you very much for taking the time. I appreciate you sharing your wisdom and knowledge. And I highly encourage you all to go check out Eddie's social media stuff. He's doing a lot of these videos, and go check out teoffers.com. And appreciate you guys very much. Thank you, Eddie. We'll see you later. Take care, man.
Thanks a lot, Joe.
See you guys. Bye-bye.